Mishnah 11, fourth parak, page 566. Rabbi Yonatan says, Kol hamakayim et haTorah me'oni. Anybody who establishes the Torah, right, who fulfills the Torah in poverty, Sofo l'kayim me'osher. In the end, he'll establish it, he'll live it, he'll fulfill it in wealth. V'kol hamabatel et haTorah me'osher. But a person who nullifies the Torah in wealth, Sofo l'batel me'oni. That person would also mevatel it in poverty. He'll eventually mevatel it in poverty. So there's a couple of different ways to read it. One is you can ask yourself what's oni and what's osher, what's poverty and what's wealth. Because it doesn't necessarily seem to be true that every person who's poor, who lives a Torah life, later becomes materially wealthy. That doesn't seem to fit reality, right? And it certainly doesn't seem to be that every person who's rich and lives a life of decadence, contrary to Torah, later ends up poor. So the plain meaning doesn't seem to be that it just doesn't ring as functional with reality, unless you don't understand what ma'oni and what ma'osher is, right? So the question is, what is poverty? So poverty. So let's go start with osher. Right, osher. What is it to be? Ezo hu osher. Who's rich? Sameach b'helko. Right, a person who takes pleasure in his portion, takes pleasure in his lot in life. So one pathway to read this is the opposite of oni, is a person who doesn't have that approach. That a person who's poor, right, poverty isn't necessarily always a measure of what you actually have. Right, you can have a guy who feels dreadfully poor, right, who still has a house, but he's lost everything else. He may have more than the guy objectively who doesn't feel poor. The idea is only is a person who feels that his life is impoverished. Right? He feels the pain of lack. He feels constrained. I don't have the money that I need. I don't have the food that I need. I don't have the clothes that I need. I don't have the physical wherewithal. Right? And it can even be to the point that you find it difficult to be b'simcha. Right? My life is difficult. My life is a struggle, and I'm not getting what I need right now. I don't have the relationships or the friends or the money or the job. I mean, people have lives that are difficult. So the question is, what do you do? How do you respond when life throws you a curve and life isn't as easy and simple and comfortable? Right? When you face travail.
There he is.
And you're an oni. You're a poor man. So he says, if you're Makayim Torah, a person who's even down on his luck, and he feels the pain, he feels the poverty, he feels the burdens, right? I don't have money for food, right? He says, but you're still Makayim Torah. I still love Hashem. I still have bitachon. I still act with morality, right? That I still follow mitzvot. I still do what I can do to be an Eved Hashem. He says, you will move from that. So in the end, you will be osher. That if you work to hold on to Torah, if you don't abandon hope, and you don't turn yourself into, what we saw before, give to God what's God's, right? That everything comes from God. If you recognize that everything you have is from the boss, so in the end, you will come to be sameach b'choko. Hopefully, it's as you acquire more and as your life eases up. But even if it doesn't, you can learn to recognize that the challenges and pains and travails, the difficulties are all a gift from God. Right? That's your burden. It's not always the burden you would have picked. Right? But that person will grow attitudinally into wealth. But a person who's movaltal to Torah ma'osher, right? I have everything. I have wealth. But my life is meaningless. Right? I have no values, I have no integrity, I have no honesty, I have no love, I have nothing. Right? My life is counter to Torah. It's all about physicality, and it's all about indulgence, and I cheat where I can cheat, and I'm mean where I can be mean, and right? and I'm just a nasty piece of work with a big house and lots of money and access to lots of prescription medication. It says, in the end, sofo levatela ma'oni, that you'll find that, again, wealth is not a question of how much stuff you have. You may start out osher. Right? You may feel, I've got everything. Life is great. But if you have no values and you have no core, then you'll find yourself one day and life will it's just painful and it stinks. And you'll find that no matter how many drugs you do or how much money you spend or how many ball games you go or how big the building or what kind of clothes or what kind of car, you can't scratch the itch.
Just not good.
It's just not good. It says, and you'll find yourself in poverty. Right? And you find people whose lives, there's a story today of British billionaires who lived basically in a crack house. I mean, they basically were fell so far into, ruin, spiritual and psychological and social and moral ruin, that they destroyed everything. Right? The hermit approach. You see wealthy people whose lives are just corrupted and destroyed because they have no Torah, they have no value. He says, regardless, if you can start in a world of difficulty and travail and pain and be Makayim Torah, then you'll find one day you'll grow into a life that feels wealthy because it's meaningful. And no matter what you have, if you abandon your values, then one day you'll discover that nothing tastes good. There's nothing worth living for. So that's our mission.